Light a Penny Candle by Maeve Binchy. Read by Kate Binchy. Violet had been to the school and had a highly unsatisfactory discussion with Miss James. Miss James wasn't going to organise any evacuation. All the parents so far had friends or relations in the country. Miss James had said quite tartly that she was certain Mr. and Mrs. White must have friends outside London. Violet wondered suddenly whether they had friends anywhere, city or country. Their daughter, Elizabeth, was so timid, so unsure of herself, she wouldn't be an easy evacuee. She had inherited her father's awkwardness, Violet thought regretfully. She seemed to expect the worst from every situation. Well, perhaps it was better than having expected great things and having got so little. Violet suspected that Elizabeth and George might be the lucky ones. To expect defeat and conflict and being relegated to second best meant freedom from shock when it happened. Elizabeth came home from school slowly. Miss James had said that Mother had been in to discuss things. She had said not to look so anxious, there was nothing to worry about. But Elizabeth was doubtful. You never knew when Mother would be happy or when she would not. Today she was writing a letter, which was unusual. Elizabeth thought that it was a complaint letter, and she prayed that it wasn't about Miss James. She approached nervously. "Are you busy, Mother?" she asked. She stood there, a thin little 10-year-old. Her short fair hair, almost white it was so fair, was pulled back from her face with an Alice band, but when she was fussed, like now, little wisps of it escaped. "I'm going to send you to Eileen," said Mother. Eileen was a name on a Christmas card. It was a name associated with a small, cheap toy on her birthday. Last year, Mother had said she wished Eileen would drop the birthday gifts. It was silly to keep it up, and she couldn't possibly be expected to remember all the birthdays of Eileen's dozens of children. It seems the only possible solution. Elizabeth's eyes filled with tears. She wished she knew what she could do to be allowed to stay. She wished hard that she could be the kind of girl that parents didn't send away, or that they'd come with her. "Will you come with me?" She looked at the carpet hard. "Oh, heavens, no, dear." "I was just hoping." "Elizabeth, don't be so silly. I can't possibly go to Eileen's, to the O'Connors with you. Darling, they live in Ireland. Who'd go to Ireland, Elizabeth, for heaven's sake? It's out of the question." Thursday was always a busy day in the hardware shop. Sean O'Connor employed a boy, Jemmy, who wasn't all there, to help carry out the supplies from the yard. He didn't want his children cluttering up the shop on a Thursday. He'd said so a dozen times. He wiped a weary forehead with a dusty hand in annoyance when he saw Aisling and Eamon running into the shop. "Where's Mummy, Da? Where's Mummy?" shouted Aisling. "Where's Mummy? Where's Mummy?" repeated Eamon. Eileen had heard the commotion, and in small, quick steps she came out of her little office and down to the shop. Her office, with its mahogany surrounds and glass windows on all sides, looked like a little closed-in pulpit, young Sean had said to her once. She should really preach a sermon to everyone in the shop rather than fill in books and ledgers. But if Eileen didn't fill books and ledgers, there'd be no shop, no house, no luxuries and helpers like Peggy and Jemmy. Her face was set in a hard line when she met the excited children. Taking each child in a most uncomfortable place just under the shoulder, she marched them firmly out of the shop. Sean sighed with relief and got back to business. Up the stairs of the house in the square, the children squealing and wriggling, Eileen was unwavering. "But, Mummy, we just wanted to show you the letter, with the picture of the King of England on it. It came by the afternoon post." Eileen ignored them. She put them sitting on 2 dining chairs opposite her and faced them. "If I've told you once, I've told you 1,000,000 times. On Thursday your father doesn't want to see hide nor hair of you in that shop, and neither do I. As it is, he's over there waiting on me to come back and do the bills and write up the books for the farmers. Have you no idea at all of obedience? Aisling, a great big girl of 10 years of age, do you hear me?" Aisling hadn't heard a word. She wanted her mother to open the letter, which she thought must be from the King of England himself. In Ma's pub that night, Eileen passed it to Sean to read. "My eyes are so tired I can hardly see it," he said. "Anyway, that writing's like a spider half-drunk getting out of an inkpot." "That's italic script, you ignoramus. That's the way the nuns in St. Mark's taught us to write. Violet remembers it, I don't, that's all." "That Violet has little else to remember," said Sean. "Life of ease over there, she has." "Not since the war started," Eileen pointed out. "No," Sean agreed into his pint. "No. Is her man out in the trenches? Oh, I suppose he'd be an officer, being in the bank and that. That's the way the British Empire does things. If men have good accents, they get good jobs and they get to be officers." "No, George isn't in the army at all. He'd something wrong. I don't know what. Anyway, he was medically unfit." "Too cushy a life in the bank, I suppose. Didn't want to leave," said Sean. "Sean, it's the child. It's Violet's child, Elizabeth. They're all being sent to the country out of London for fear of the bombs. You know, we read it in the papers. Violet wants to know, will we have her here?" "But this isn't the country. They're not evacuating them to Ireland. This is our country. Well, they can't make us join their bloody war by sending us all the children and old people. Haven't they done bloody enough already?" "Sean, will you listen to me?" Eileen snapped. "Violet would like to know whether we would take Elizabeth for a few months. The little school she's in is closing down because all the children are being evacuated. They asked if she could come here. What do you think?" "Well, I think it's a bloody liberty, a bloody cheek, and typical of the British Empire. Unless you can be of some use to them, they've no time for you. They don't want to know you. Not a letter, barely a Christmas card. And they get themselves into this stupid war. They're fawning all over you. That's what I think." "Violet isn't the British Empire. She's my friend from school. She was never a letter writer. Even this one is jerky and full of, I don't know, brackets and inverted commas. She's not used to writing to people. Well, not 20 or 30 letters a day like I am. Well, that's not the point. The point is, will you have the child in the house?" "That's not the point. The point is she's got a bloody neck to ask." "Of course Violet has a bloody neck. Look, of course I'm insulted when I think she hasn't much time for me, if she doesn't bother to write unless she wants something. But that goes without saying. But the point is, do we have the child or not? She's Aislinn's age. She didn't declare war on Germany or invade Ireland or attack De Valera or whatever. She's only 10. She's probably lying there at night wondering will a bomb fall on her and blow her to bits. Now, do we have her or don't we?" Sean looked surprised. Eileen didn't usually make speeches, and it was even more unusual for her to admit to a hurt or an insult from her precious friend from school days. "Will she be too much trouble for you?" he asked. "No. She might even be a friend for Aisling. And what can one child eat more than we all eat already?" Elizabeth looked at the single sheet of paper. It was the first letter she had ever got from anyone. It had arrived inside a letter from Mother. She read it slowly to savour it. "Dear Elizabeth, we're all so glad that your mummy is lending you to us for a little while, and we hope you'll be happy here. Kilgarret is very different from London, but everyone is looking forward to meeting you and making you feel at home. You will share a room with Aisling, who is exactly the same age as you. There's only 1 week in the difference, so we hope you'll be great friends. Sister Mary at the school says you'll probably know far more than all the class put together. Bring any toys or books you want. We've plenty of room here, and we're counting the days till you come. Auntie Eileen." At the bottom of the page, in a section where someone had ruled lines to keep the writing straight, there was another note. "Dear Elizabeth, I have left all the shelves on the left-hand side of the room for you, and half the press and half the dressing table. Be sure to come for Eamon's birthday. There'll be a party. The Mars kittens are sweet. They have their eyes open. Mammy is going to get one for you and me to share. Love, Aisling." "A kitten to share," said Elizabeth, her eyes shining.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?